So, good evening, guys. Once again, we are back here for one more interesting session on the topic of financial modeling. And this is the financial modeling session number 6. Okay. So, let me recall in very brief that what we did in the previous sessions. So, in the previous sessions, we talked about the financial modeling and we created the financial model of Tata Motors basically. And we tried to analyze both the profit and loss statement, which is also called the income statement. And then we also try to analyze the balance sheet, which is also called the position statement. And this is how we did the previous analysis. And if you people possess interest in financial modeling, which like you should have if you are a student of finance, then go to the previous sessions and watch the financial modeling session from session number 1 to 5. And we tried to make certain kinds of interpretations on the basis of past historical data. And we also tried to project the future, which were almost correct. Okay. So now in this session, we're gonna go further with the cash flow statement. Okay. So now our first task, and what's our first task, is to copy paste the cash flow statement from moneycontrol.com or any other sources with which you are comfortable with. Be it like yahoo.com, or even you can go and download the annual report of the company on the Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange website. Okay. So that's completely all upon you. But the one thing that you have to remember, which I have been repeating when I prepared the financial model or when we prepared the financial model altogether, that is you have always have to paste as values by going to paste special. Okay. So we can just paste special here and click it as values. And now we can increase the size of it. Okay. And now what's our task? Now our task is to keep it in the ascending order and rather than decreasing order or descending order, right? We want the first March 2017 here, then we watch the 18 in the next column, and then we want 19 in the next column, then 20 in the next column. So that's all like what we want in place. Okay. So for that, like what like we would be doing, which we have been doing in the previous sessions as well. We'll be dragging this column 8, like we'll be just clicking on this E. And now I'm not wasting much time to teach you how to drag the columns because this we have done a lot in the previous sessions. So just drag the columns. Yeah. And just delete the columns in between. Okay. This is how now you have a systematic data with you. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah. So now our task is to calculate the percentage changes, that how much they have changed as compared to previous year, that how much change has been in the year of March 2018 as compared to March 2017. How much change has been in the year of March 2020 as per March 2019. Okay. Again, we're going to use the simple one. We have the final value minus the original value whole divided by the original value in 200. Okay. And we're going to use, of course, like when we're going to drag it, like here we have the division error. So for that, we're going to use the function if error. Open one more bracket. And this is like when we have the value, and when we do not have the value, we want the answer as 0. Closing the bracket. And then dragging it down. You can drag it even further so that we can have the percentage changes for others as well. Just dragging it down. We can just take it all together and drag it down all together. Okay, we'll take it separately. Yeah. And I like it, we do not have the division error also in place. Okay. So now basically what we have done, now we can basically try to compare our data. We can see that in March 2018, the revenue was 57% less as compared to March 2017, or like net profit loss. Even like you can compare the cash flow from the operating activities, that the cash flow from the operating activities increased by 184%, then by 52%, then it decreased by 123% and by minus 559%. मतलब 559% से कम हुई है. Similarly, for investing activities, we can say it has decreased by 36%. And investing activities में there has been some fluctuations कि कभी गिरा है कभी बढ़ा है, कभी गिरा है कभी बढ़ा है. And again, cash flow from the financing activities, again it has like reduced, बस एक साल में बढ़ा था. Okay, but when we see the total, how much has been the increase or decrease in cash for the particular year of 2021, like when we compare it with 2020, cash has decreased. And cash flow, you can see in the beginning of the year, because these figures in the beginning of the year, it was -10, though it increased by 340. So at least positive number हुआ है at the end of the year of 2021. At least you have a positive number. But यहाँ पे 340 था, यहाँ पे 10 हुआ है, कम हुआ है, ठीक है, but still positive है. So one thing we can come to our conclusion, the company has positive cash flows, company के पास हैं, but कम है. Okay, so that one thing we can conclude for. Now the same thing we can do to project it for future. How to project the cash flows for future. Again, the one way is to take the average of all this, of all these values. And dragging it down. So this is the average. Okay. And then we can increase the last figure by the average. Not this one, sorry. This one. And of course by 100. Average से अगर होता रहा, it can become a positive number. And same averages can be calculated here as well. Also, one thing we can do, we can take just like 67% also in this. अगर लास्ट ईयर के अकॉर्डिंग करना है तो in this case the cash flow is tend to be like increasing by more amount. But इस calculation का ना एक drawback भी आ जाता है. Why? Because here we have like both the numbers as negative. And average भी मतलब कि negative से गिरा है. And negative like makes it positive. यहाँ पे फिर behavioral bias भी आ सकता है. And that is the thing. So, as I told in the previous session as well, that other factors are also taken into consideration. ठीक है? Like maybe some projections of the cash flow like which the company thinks can come in future. अगर हम March 2020 तक का देखें, so let's take the average and 21 का करते हैं predict. Average till here. Okay. इसी average से let's try to increase March 2020 का number. And let's see if this formula works. कितना आंसर आ रहा है? 12457 and positive आ रहा है, and here you had a further negative value, right? Because negative is like making it positive. So in that way your 1 plus r won't work. If you take a negative sign before it, like just in case if you take a negative sign before it, your answer will just come to be negative. And again, we cannot make here it as negative because certainly we do not want the cash flows to fall. ठीक है, अगर हम नेगेटिव ले रहे हैं तो फिर भी हमारा मतलब कि नियर आ रहा है कि अगर हम नेगेटिव ग्रोथ रेट से चल रहे हैं. बट आइडियली अ कंपनी would not like to project the cash flows with a negative growth rate. Okay, so other considerations are also taken into place. Okay, कि मान लो कि कंपनी का फ्यूचर कैश फ्लो कितना आ रहा है. What can be the basic cash flow from the operating activities as well. All these things the company would have to project. Okay. So all these things like we have discussed in deep detail, like when we talked about the P&L statement and balance sheet as well. And cash flow statement, like we did the same thing. So in the next session, I would be trying to create some models on Excel only, like maybe through graphs and charts, which can give you an edge over people to portray your data on Excel. Okay, that was all.